A game that combines Warioware-style microgames with a horror theme, complete with a flamboyant photo and art aesthetic? Spookware on paper has to be a home run. And I can say, after playing through the entirety of the whole first chapter, Spookware is excellent, with a few caveats. Spookware delivers on its promise of ultra-short microgames with a horror aesthetic. There are a couple of things to be aware of before diving into this surprisingly twee collection of horror minigames. Spookware is the full-length version of the game with the same name found in the DreadX Collection 3. Full disclosure, I never played the DreadX Collection version, but I did play the original demo that came out on itch.io. The original demo consisted of 10 microgames which progressively sped up and culminated with a brutal boss battle. You know, just like WarioWare traditionally does. When my roommate Mike and I played it on this channel, Spookware was hard, concise, and most importantly, spooky. We had a blast playing it on stream.
You're over halfway there.
Woo! Obviously, I had to check out the new full-fledged version. The full-length Spookware features a charming little story about 3 skeleton brothers who decided that they're done watching horror movies and they should experience all that life has to offer. Lefty, Mighty, and Righty were found in the DreadX Collection 3 version of the game, but were nowhere to be found in the original Game Jam demo. So having protagonists was a bit unexpected for me. Each section of each chapter has a unique collection of microgames. For example, the first section featured the skeleton brothers finding school band members, so most of the microgames were rhythm-based. The second section featured games that specifically used the mouse instead of the keyboard. For this reason, the devs recommend using a keyboard and mouse, even though a controller is supported. The flow of the game consists of exploring the overworld, talking to characters, occasionally beating a single minigame to help complete the overall quest, and then at the end of the chapter, complete a certain set of unique minigames. The overworld is clearly inspired by Paper Mario, both in terms of visuals and writing. Each character you meet has cute and quirky dialogue, complete with bone puns, who play off the brothers' charming personalities. But I found these sections are a little too long and twee for my tastes. Besides the third chapter, which has you collecting recipes around town for use in a final 5-star restaurant diner light, a majority of the individual minigames you complete before the end of each chapter feel like filler. The novelty of doing a basic rhythm minigame each time I had to prove my musical prowess to a band member wore off fairly quickly. I think for me my disappointments came from having a different kind of expectation for what the game was actually going to be. The original Spookware demo features WarioWare goodness in its purest form. Complete the games, they get faster, then complete a boss. Simple, easy to understand. It never conveyed that there was a story putting it all together. Clearly I should have played the DreadXP version and met Lefty, Mighty, and Righty sooner. Even in WarioWare, there's not a whole lot of story between the games. If there is, it's easy to button through and there's no fetch quests. It almost makes me wonder if these aspects of the game were used to pad out the length of Spookware due to Steam's brutal refund policy. I mean, the refund policy is great for users, but for devs, it's a little rough. For those who don't know, Steam will refund a game if there's less than 2 hours of playtime on it, even if the game is less than 2 hours long. No questions asked. This is frequently used by gamers who don't want to pay the full price for a game. If this was just the microgame experience, I can see all the microgames easily being beaten in less than 2 hours. Again, it's not to say the story is bad. I think, in fact, some of the writing is quite clever.
But I think my expectations were slightly out of line of what the actual game was.
Expect spooky WarioWare, but know that you'll be spending some time hanging out with Lefty, Mighty, and Righty. But how are the actual micro games? Well, it turns out I enjoyed pretty much all of them. Each one is quick, frantic, and a blast to try and complete in the nick of time. There are quite a few that are variations of Simon Says, but all of them are the perfect WarioWare length, and the spooky theme is a welcome twist. Well, unless the games are not actually spooky. This is honestly my only critique of the minigames besides the earlier Simon Says comment. Why are there so many games without a spooky theme? But regardless, I found myself propelled to keep playing to see what wild minigames Spookware would throw at me next. Clearly it's a sign of the quality of games at hand here. What is a little more troubling is the Steam page information originally made it sound like there are 100 games in here. There are a lot, but not 100. Since then, the Steam page has been modified to let users know what to expect in just the first episode. These hundreds of games will appear once the DLC is released, so $9.99 only gets you one of the 4 planned chapters of Spookware. Or does it? I was a little confused, so I reached out asking DreadXP if they plan on charging for the DLC for this game, or if it would be included for free. They came back to me and said they're still deciding. I don't mind paying for DLC, but I kind of wish they were more upfront with their pricing model before they ask the user to buy it. That being said, I actually do think there's enough game here to justify the $9.99 price tag. I just wish they were a little more clear about how their post-launch monetization would work. Heck, if you're still on the fence, just go ahead and download the free version of the game on Steam called Spookware Watch Party. But if you're looking for the admittedly odd combination of cute and horror, I can't recommend Spookware enough. Just be prepared for a lot more exploring and bone pun-filled conversations than your typical Warioware affair.
If you enjoyed this review, make sure to like the video. If you want to see more of me, make sure to subscribe to this channel, and you can also check me out on Twitch, where I regularly stream a bunch of indie horror games.
In fact, if you're interested, you could watch the entire Twitch stream of this game right here on YouTube.
Stay spooky!